What's going on, guys? Aaron here, back once again. In this video, we're going to be covering my exact DM strategy that books 3 to 5 sales calls every single day, essentially on autopilot. And I'm going to go so deep into this that you will be able to steal this process. You can copy and paste, take the entire script that I'm going to go over and use it for your own benefit. So what are we going to cover in this video? A couple main things. Number one is we're going to talk about the 3 ways that we're going to actually turn followers into leads, right? Because at the end of the day, you're creating content because you want to generate leads and traffic for your business to either figure out if you can help someone, or if you can't actually help them, then hey, they can watch your content for free, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is the actual message flow, the DM flow that we're using to turn the leads that we create from the content into actual sales calls, right? So you can pitch them your offer, your service, so you can help them ultimately reach their goals. We're also going to cover my super secret, amazing, what did I call it? I called it Aaron's super awesome appointment setting robot, how I actually use AI to automate literally 95% of the conversations. And I'll show you exactly how you can actually test my bot, because I know that people love to play around with AI and try to break them. So I'll show you how you can do that in a second. And then we're gonna go over some live set examples. So what I mean by that is I'm gonna go into the DMs and show you 3 different conversations that, using the 3 different ways, showing you 3 different conversations from those 3 ways that actually led to 3 different conversations. And this one here actually turning into a $24,000 client, and you'll be able to see the intricacies of exactly how that works out. So before we jump too deep into that, you can actually message me the word MessageFlow. So DM me MessageFlow, use this exact thing, one word, over on Instagram at Aaron Makes Content, and I'll actually send you a document that covers everything that I'm talking about here. So you can quite literally copy and paste versus like writing down all these questions we're gonna go over. Because I mean, you can do that if you want to, it doesn't really matter to me, but it's gonna make it a lot easier. Just DM me the word MessageFlow over on IG. Aaron Makes Content is the name there. So first things first, let's talk about the 3 ways to actually turn the followers into leads. So in some of our last videos, you can actually click on screen if you want to check out the last one, but we talked about actually creating content and optimizing our profiles and make sure that that everything on our profiles looks good so that we can actually convert our followers into, the people that see our page into followers. But with this, we're going to talk about, again, how to turn your followers into leads and essentially bring them down that funnel. So there's really 3 ways that we do this. Number one is we use outbound messages, right? Outbounding people that follow you, outbound messaging people that follow you. We also do a comment CTA, so basically doing call to actions on every single one of our pieces of content so that we bring them down the funnel and we get them into the DMs, and then also through direct messages. And we'll talk about each of these individually here. So the first things first here is actually outbounding followers. So if you go to your Instagram profile and you're consistently making content or you're running ads, you're gonna have notifications that actually have people that are following you, right? So people that are following you either just because they see your content, or you can see some of these says, following you from your ad. You don't have to have ads, to work. I mean, if you look at this screenshot here, not everyone comes from the ads. Some of them come from the organic content we're creating. Some of them come from these YouTube videos where we give the CTA at the beginning and then, they become a follower. There's a lot of different ways that people shouting you out, whatever. There's a lot of different ways that people can become your follower. But the most important thing, because you see what most people do is they just let people follow them and they just wait for them to actually take action. What we're gonna do is we're gonna be more proactive, right? Not just reactive, we're gonna be more proactive. Well, I guess technically, if they're following, we are reacting to their follow, but being more proactive than just waiting for them to reach out to us. And we're actually just gonna send them this message right here. And this works like a charm, works basically every single time. I'm not saying you're gonna get a response every single time, but when you do get those responses, they're always pretty positive. So you're just gonna say, hey, name, and don't put name. You're gonna actually say, hey, name, appreciate the follow, and you're gonna send that as your first message. And then your second thing you're gonna say is just curious, are you here just for the free content, or are you actively looking for end result? Now, end result, all that means is whatever your offer is, whatever you're actually doing for the person, is you insert that there. So if you're a health coach, you'd say, just curious, or you're just here for the free content, or are you actively looking to lose weight, right? Are you actively looking to, fix a relationship? Are you actively looking to, make money in your business? Are you actively looking to, whatever your thing is, right? So just use some critical thinking there, some obvious thinking, and put there whatever you're going to actually introduce there. Then one of 2 things are going to happen. Either number one, they're going to respond. Well, I guess one of 3. Maybe they ghost, right? Or they leave you on red, right? In this case, you're just going to follow up, right? Continue to send messages. You can send emojis, you can send GIFs, you can send whatever you do. Just you follow up with them, right? Or what's going to happen is they're going to say, well, I didn't put it in here, but they're going to say, you know, I'm just here for the free content. So if they say free content, free, right, you would just send them, hey, okay, got it. Let me know how I can help. Or they're going to say, you know, I want your help, or I'm actively looking for end result, right? And then in that case, what's going to happen is you're going to go to the next part of the flow, and we'll actually cover that here in a second. But before we do that, they all lead into the same place. But let's just say you reach out and you got to the point where they've actually asked you for help. We'll cover what to do next after that and how to move them forward. Next one is going to be from Comment CTA. So Comment CTAs is essentially, you can see here, I create a piece of content, and through here is when I have these conversations with people, or when people, when I'm doing this content, I give a comment and I say, hey, comment this right here. You can say, right, comment blueprint for the full video. So if you watch the last video, it goes over my content strategy of how I actually get people to this channel and also get them in the DMs to set them for sales calls. But what we're going to do here, or it goes more over the content, this is like how to actually convert, is what happens is set up an automation through either ManyChat or I use GoHighLevel. And you have an automation that anytime someone comments on a post, it actually sends them that whatever resource they're looking for. So this could be, in my case, it's a YouTube video, but you can send them a PDF, you can send them a document, you can send them a resource, whatever you're sending them, you're just getting them to comment so you can get them in the DMs, right? So then what happens is this is what automation sends, right? So it says, hey, name, saw that you wanted the resource. So you would just change this to whatever it is, right? In the automation, you would say, you know, saw that you wanted, my document, my resource, my YouTube video on XYZ, did you still want it? And they respond, right? They're going to say, yes, I still want that thing. And you're going to say, okay, perfect. Here you go. You're going to send that link. And then you're going to end up with this follow-up message. It's very, very important, right? It'd be fine if you just send this thing, but you're losing the whole point of getting them in the DMs in the first place. And that is to move them down the pipeline, right? So what you're going to say is, so by the way, just curious, are you just here for the content, or are you actively here for end result, right? Same thing that we talked about over here, right? We're converting them over. And like I said before, if they say, you know, I'm just here for the free content, great, gotcha, let me know how I can help. And then over here is if they do ask for help, there we go. We're gonna move them on to the next point, which again, we'll talk about where that leads here in a second. And I do wanna touch on this because this is a really big piece when it comes to Instagram automation and some of the AI stuff that I'll talk about here in a second. Is it's very important to understand that everything that I'm talking about, a big question that a lot of people have is, you know, Aaron, like, is automation going to mess up my account? Is it something that I should worry about? Not necessarily, right? Because a big piece of what I teach is everything is compliant with terms and service for Instagram, right? I connected directly to GHL and through ManyChat, and both of those softwares like physically won't let you go against the terms and service. Like, and so what I mean by that is right here, essentially what happens, and I'm explaining this because it's very important when you are actually putting together these automations, because if you do go against this and you do it wrong, you do put your account up for, or chance for it to actually get, basically get disabled or shadow banned or whatever it may be. So just gotta be very, very careful with that. So what happens here, and the reason I'm not just sending the thing, right? You might be asking like, Aaron, why are you asking, do they still want the thing, right? And as opposed to just like sending it right here. Well, through automation, you actually can't do that. And the reason, and the way that we're kind of getting around this, is we are asking them the question, right? They're commenting on our post, and we're asking them the question of, do they want that resource? And by the sheer nature of them responding, what's happening is IG actually has this, IG has this timer. And it's you can only talk to someone through automation 24 hours since their last interaction with you in the DMs. So what we're doing by actually sending this first question is we're actually getting them to respond so that we can start our automation, right? Very, very important to understand that. Again, through these automation platforms, I don't think it even lets you respond. I've just seen some people have issues with like not being able to, you know, they get messed up with automation. The reason is because they're trying to skip that step. So it's very important that you actually follow that there. So anyway, that all aside, let's talk about direct message CTA. So we did talk about this, I believe, in the video before, or the one before that, is actually your DM keyword. So in your bio on IG, you always want to have some sort of DM keyword that gets them to the next part of the process. So in here I say, DM me, I'm in. and let's chat. So if you actually you can test it out if you want to. If you DM me, I'm in. It basically takes over through the automation and then actually into AI, which we'll talk about here in a bit. But you always want to have some sort of DM keyword so that basically it lets people know, especially when you do get these messages, is it lets you know that, okay, this person's like super warm. They're ready to take the next step of actually working directly with you on whatever you're helping them do, right? Achieve that desired end result. So what's going to happen is they actually take this first step, right? They are going to send in the DM keyword, and then you're going to say, okay, hey, appreciate you reaching out. And then this actually leads us to where all of these lead, which is into the very first question, which is, hey, can you tell me about your business, your offer, what you do, who you help, your ideal client? Now, the reason this actually goes into a different flow is because this starts our actual DM conversation. And a couple of main things that I want to talk about here. So this is the next part of the video. Just this is the exact message flow I talked about earlier that turns your leads into sales calls. So before we do jump into, okay, what is the first question? How do we go through the DM flow? There's a couple main things that I need, or actually really one main thing that's in red here that I need you guys to really focus in on and understand. Because this is a huge mistake that I see a lot of people make. Is the point of the DM conversation, right? The point of you having a conversation with them in the DMs is to not sell them the end product, but is to sell the conversation with you or your salespeople or your closers, right? I'll repeat that again because it's just so important. The point of the DM conversation is to not sell the product, it's to sell the actual conversation. So here's what I see a lot of people go wrong, is they start to have this really long, drawn out conversation through DMs. And, I go through and I audit their DMs and they're like, Aaron, this person, they didn't set. And then I go to their DMs and I just keep scrolling and I'm scrolling and I'm scrolling. And it's like, they just made it so difficult for the other person to actually continue the conversation because they're just going on and on, right? There's no actual, there's no point, like the other person that's on the other end, they don't feel like there's a point in the conversation. So they're just like, well, I'm just going to not respond, right? So you want to keep it concise and you want to build the urgency and the value around them jumping in a call with you. And we'll talk about how to do that in just a second. Now, the other beautiful part about Instagram, right? The other great part about being able to just access the people's profiles of the people we're talking to is you can start to self-regulate, I guess, for the lack of a better word, if you should be like going forward and initiating conversation with the person that you're reaching out to. Nothing against anybody, but if, for example, for me, if I'm doing this process and I get a DM from someone and they don't have a profile picture, they don't have consistent content, their bio isn't optimized, I'm probably not going to continue the conversation or even start the conversation in the first place because I know it's going to be a waste of my time, that they don't even have the prerequisites that I need and that I can gauge to see if I can actually help that person. Now, on the other hand, if I see someone that, and this is very specific to like a business type offer, it might be a little bit like, or it is very different if it's like a B2C offer where maybe you're helping with weight loss or fitness or relationships or whatever. Maybe they aren't active on social media, so that's not the best gauge. But if you are in more B2B, B2Solopreneur, it's a really easy way to be able to look at their profile. So anyway, with that being said, there's really 4 basic pieces of information that I look at in my head as enough information to be able to go in and book the call with that person. Now, this is more B2C. More B2B. So you will have to change it a little bit, and I'll give you some examples of how I would change it. But essentially, you're trying to get 4 pieces of information from this person before you go and actually book the call. So for me, what I'm asking is like business, offer, what they do. If you're doing B2C, you could probably skip this point if I'm being honest with you. Again, this is more B2B. Or, if we're talking about like current situation, I guess we're kind of down in current situation there. Yeah, I would probably skip this one, to be honest with you. Because especially if you're having a DM conversation or people are reaching out to you, if you're like a weight loss coach, for example, they are probably going to be in that situation where they're like, well, I'm reaching out because I want to build muscle or I want to lose weight or whatever it may be. So just kind of have that with the assumption. Is with B2B, B2C, you can kind of skip that first one. But essentially what's going to happen is what I'm trying to figure out as an owner is, as a business, right, is I want to figure out what does the other person sell? What do they do? Who do they help, right? What is their ideal client? And that's just going to give me an overall idea of like, can I actually help this person? And also the way that I look at this, as you'll see, is as we go down this list, is we're getting more, for lack of a better word, more intrusive. and I don't know if I spelled that right, but more intrusive being like, okay, this is really easy to have a conversation over, and then current situation, I'm basically gonna ask them, how much money you got, right? That's gonna be what I say. So if I leave that to the end of the conversation, I can provide more context that I'll show you here in a second that allows me to answer that question with a lot less friction, we'll say. So I'm going to ask them that, and then they're going to respond, and they're going to say, hey, this person specifically, hey, so I coach men on how to lose weight. So what we've done so far is, as you can see, we now checked this off the list, right? Business, what they offer, we've checked that off. Then I'm going to go to pain point. So I'm going to say, okay, perfect. So what do you feel like is the main issue in growing your coaching business right now? Or you can say, what do you feel like is the main, thing holding you back? What is the main bottleneck in growing your coaching business right now? So again, we'll give a couple of examples. If you're going after weight loss, it's like, what do you feel like is the current issue in losing weight right now? What do you think is the current issue in your relationship right now? What is the current issue in being able to, draw better? I don't know what the offer is. There's an offer for literally everything. So you're just trying to figure out what the pain point is. Now, the reason we ask pain point first is, a lot of Cole Gordon, one of my mentors and partners, is he always talks about pain, and that if there is no pain, there is no sale, right? So we'll just put pain, because this is a huge thing, right? Pain, sale. If there is no, wait, that's not what I'm trying to say. If there is no pain, there is no sale. There we go. We'll accentuate it that way. So if there is no pain, like the person doesn't have a pain, there will be no sale. So we want to ask this first, so that if they do decide like down the road, if they're like, oh, I don't know if this is the right fit, we just bring up the pain point again. And it's like, hey, like, I know you earlier you said that the pain was that you're not actually growing your business, but now you're saying you don't want to grow the call or jump on a call. So why is that, right? Do you really not want to grow the business, right? So we get the pain point because that's going to help them make decisions. So this person in theory, and I mean, this is honestly a conversation that basically is how it happens every single time. And what you'll find is your DM conversations will be very similar almost every single time. The goals and current situation will be different, but a lot of people, they're only going to be struggling with a couple things, right? For weight loss specifically, they're either not going to be eating right, they're not going to be exercising enough, they're not going to be in the right mindset. Like, there's only a couple things. For us, it's more like people are either struggling with starting in the first place, so more of a mindset thing. They're struggling with generating leads, they're struggling with converting those leads, they're struggling with getting good results for those leads, or they're struggling with the actual operations in the back end and scaling, right? Those are really the only main bottlenecks. And as you do this more, you'll realize it's the same thing for basically every single industry. So that's the pain point, right? So we check that off the list. So they're saying, okay, I need to generate more leads. And I say, okay, got it. So now I'm trying to figure out desired situation. Okay, got it. So so that I know what would be the ideal amount you make per month for your business. So again, anything desired situation. What would be, what would be the desired outcome for your relationship? What would be the desired outcome, or how much weight do you want to lose? Right? That's the desired situation. What is their ultimate goal? Essentially, is another way that you can look at this. Right? So what is their goal situation? So this guy, right, says, I'd love to make $75,000 per month. I say, okay, great goal, $75,000. Now we need to figure out, where are they in relation to that goal? So just so I have a gauge on the gap here, where are you currently in terms of monthly revenue? So again, where are you currently, so I can gauge the gap here, where are you currently, in terms of the scale? Where are you currently within your relationship, right? Where are you right now? And the reason, because sometimes people have asked me, why do you put in the DM conversation, why do you put current situation after desired situation? Like, that doesn't really make sense. Like, wouldn't you want to figure out where they are first before where they're going? Like I talked about earlier, is as I go down, we become more intrusive, or more intrusive in terms of the questions. So the beauty of putting desired situation before current is desired a lot of times, like if it's their goal, they probably haven't, like, either they haven't gotten to that point or they haven't been to that point in a long time, and that's why they want to be there. So it's a lot easier to have that conversation because that's not in the now where they currently are. So when I ask that question first, what the current situation, when this comes up, it allows me to give context around why I'm asking this question. So I say, great goal. So just so I can gauge where that gap is, right? I'm asking it with context. Where are you in terms of that monthly revenue, right? Because in theory, it's not like I'm not using it as a line. Like, I legitimately, to figure out if I can help a person, I need to know where they currently are and where they want to be, right? Like, those are the pieces. Like, and really, again, back to these things, you only need these 4 pieces to actually go in and book the call. So again, I say, so great goal, so that I can gauge the gap here. Where are you currently in terms of monthly revenue? So they're going to say, well, I'm only at about 10,000 right now. I'm only, I'm at 200 pounds right now, and I want to get to 150. I'm currently at 300 pounds and I want to get to 250, whatever the goal is, right? And then we've already checked everything off the list, right? So we have offer, we have pain point, we have desired situation, and we have current situation. So, and you don't want to book every single person on the call, but if based on that information, you can see, okay, does this person, are we able to help them? Then you can help them. And you would go in to ultimately book the call. The other thing that I would keep in mind with this is, with a business, it's easy to, or another one of the reasons why we use this, right? We actually go through and ask these questions is to actually financially qualify. So if I'm talking to a business and they're like, yeah, Aaron, I just started. Probably not going to book them on a call because we're trying to work with people that already have at least somewhat of an idea or somewhat started their business. It is a little bit more difficult if you are doing, anything else that isn't business related, because something like, how much money do you make doesn't come up in natural conversation. But you could, one of two things, you could get creative with it. And, for weight loss, in my head, a question that you would ask could be something like, so just curious, how active are you in your lifestyle, right? Like what do you do for work? Because you could ask that in the sense of like, well, if someone sits at a desk all day, that is going to be a health thing, right? Like someone should have a treadmill desk or get 10,000 steps or be a little bit more active. Like someone in that situation is going to be less active than, let's say, like a waitress or a waiter or someone that's on their feet all day, or construction work, or works in landscaping or whatever. So, but you can take that information, because if you're like, hey, what do you do for work? And they're like, well, I'm nothing against janitors, but it's like, if they say that versus like, oh, I'm a computer engineer and, I work behind the desk all day, you can use those pieces of information as data points to figure out if it's going to be something that's actually worth you jumping on a call with, right? So just keep those things in mind. A big portion of this DM process isn't just to have a conversation. It's also to qualify and figure out if they're a good fit for you. So here's how I go in to book the call. So I'd say, okay, got it. So, I definitely think that we can help you go from 10,000 to 75,000 with just a few pivots, right? So go from current situation to desired situation in just a few pivots. Are you open to having a quick chat around exactly how we can do that for you? Now, this is one version. I do have a little bit of a longer version that I do tend to use a little bit more just because it gives more context. But basically the first part is pretty much the same, but it's like, okay, got it. So I definitely think, so again, definitive language is very important. So I definitely think we can help you go from 10,000 to 75,000 from just a few pivots here. I feel like we should hop on a quick call to see if and how we can help you out. And you would send the message, right? And then we would say, best case scenario, we partner up, come in and actually help you hit that end goal. Worst case, you leave the call that we have with an action plan of how to do it yourself. Are you open to that? I like to use this verbiage because I don't want them, like, I think the mistake that a lot of people make is they're like, let's jump on a strategy call. Number one, people are like already privy to a strategy call is not just a strategy call. They know that there's going to be some sort of pitch. So I just like to be open and transparent and use language that is going to basically help them assume that. So I say things like, so I definitely think we can help you. Right? Definitely think we can help you. Let's jump on a quick call to see if and how we can help. Up here, I think I put, I definitely think we can help you here. And then, are you open to having a quick chat of how we can actually do that? So with this, again, in terms of verbiage, best case, we partner up, right? So I'm not saying like, hey, best case, you become a client and you pay us. No, I'm saying, hey, best case, we partner up, come in and help you hit that, right? So again, I'm presupposing that they're going to come on as a client. Worst case is you just leave the call with an action plan on how to do it yourself. So it's like, I still take the stance of, hey, we're going to have a conversation. It's going to be a sales conversation, and I'm going to talk to you about what it's like to work with us. But I also pull that away a little bit, and I don't make it this like this thing where it's like, you're going to jump on and you need to give me a yes or a no, right? I just hate that approach. It's just like, hey, if we can help you, we'll talk about what that looks like. If we don't, we'll go through the conversation as if we can, just give you that action plan, which we really do. Like, we're not going to bring people in that we don't think we can actually help because it's unethical. And, but a lot of times, like if they've gone to this point and we get them on the call, it's going to be a good chance that we can help them because these are the main pieces of information that we need in order to get them booked. And then the last thing is that they'll say, okay, sounds good. Let's book the call. And then, of course, we'll either send the booking link or we'll just go back and forth. Hey, what's a good time to chat? Have open this time and this time tomorrow. Which one's best for you? Oh, I can chat at that time. Okay, perfect. Put in your calendar and let's rock and roll. Right? That's going to be the easiest way there. So next up in the conversation is, okay, so how does AI actually handle these conversations, right? So what I want you to do is, if you want to test this bot, is you can actually just DM me the word test bot. It's 2 words, test bot, over to me at Aaron Makes Content to test this bot, and it'll show you, you'll be able to just like kind of experience the entire thing from the beginning to the end. But at a high level, this is essentially how this works. So we have Instagram, right? Instagram is talking to GHL, right? So we use GHL. The reason is because GHL actually integrates directly with Instagram. GHL and Instagram talk to each other. And then based on conversational logic and based on certain things, is GHL actually talks to this AI bot that I build that basically handles a lot of this conversation. So if we look at, a lot of people are like, so what does the AI actually handle? Well, if we look at, so if we're looking at this part of the process here, right? AI actually handles everything in green. So this is exact copy and paste from over here. The only thing that the AI cannot do, right? The AI can go through and it can send, automation from comments. It can send automation from direct messages. It can then start the conversation and conversationally have everything through here. Again, just take my word for it, or don't take my word for it. Go and DM me the word test bot so you can actually see it, but it actually handles all the way down to actually booking in the conversation. Now, why do I say 95%, right? Not 100%. 95% because number one, or there's really actually 2 reasons. Number one is this first part of the process here is when you're outbounding new followers, is Instagram actually doesn't allow you to automate this process. Here's what I want you to just pause and think about this for a second, is there are softwares out there that do and can automate the messages to your outbound followers. However, it is not approved by Instagram. Like I said earlier before, there is everything that we do is compliant when it comes to Instagram. That is not. So don't automate the process. However, it might seem very tempting and, hey, I can help this part of the process. Just don't do that. Set it either a part of your process, or you can have a VA do it, or an appointment setter or whatever. Have them take part of this first process, right? And essentially all they're going to do is they're going to outbound every single new follower, and they're going to, have this here. And then essentially, from the AI itself, is there's actually a way that we can actually turn on the AI based on their conversations, and then the automation kicks off from there. The other thing that the AI does not take it, or that doesn't do, well, and then you'll have a human actually go in there, or you can do it, or an EA or a VA, right? Is you actually can't, back to what we were talking about earlier of this 24-hour timer, is let's say you send a message, and you can set up AI follow-up or follow-up through GHL, whatever. You can set up those automations to send follow-up within this window, but if it goes past that 24 hours and they haven't responded, then you actually can't follow up through automation. So the other thing that the human would do, right, whether it's you, appointment setter, or whatever, is they would actually do the follow-up to actually get them back into the flow. Or you do, like I've always talked about, stay consistent with content, and always do your comment CTAs, always do, story posts that actually send them and get them to send this I'm in keyword to you. Because once you do that, and when you are consistent, the way that humans' brains work is when people continue to see you, and they continue to see, oh, you're getting results with this, your clients are getting results with this, or here's how to do, X, Y, and Z. It's happened with me, right? With these videos, as people will see 1, 2, 3, 5 videos, they'll follow me on Instagram, they'll see all this content, and at a certain point, I can just tell. They send every single comment CTA. They send every single, story reply CTA. They watch all of my videos. So at a certain point, I can just be like, dude, are you here to actually grow your business? Oh, or are you here to just watch a bunch of free content, and then you progress, or you take that timeline to 6 to 12 months to where you actually see success, or you can just DM me the word I'm in, and I'll walk you through the entire process of not only how to implement this, but actually get the AI. I'm not going to go through the AI portion of it. I give a bunch of free stuff on here, but the AI stuff that is staying specifically within people that work with me directly, because there's just so many moving parts to it. I want to make sure that it actually works when someone actually implements that. So doesn't matter if you don't have the AI, it's fine. I might actually make a video more specifically around that in the future, but you can still follow the entire process by doing this. So that's how the conversations work. That's somewhat how the AI works. Now let's go through some actual live conversations of going through, again, these 3 different things here. Is I have an example of an outbound message, a comment CTA, and a direct message CTA, where we can just physically see from beginning to end how these conversations go. All right, guys, so let's jump into the actual live DM conversation so you can see. I have obviously blurred some certain information because I don't want these people getting hit up and docs and stuff like that. So this first one was actually from just a direct keyword. Someone found us on Instagram and was like, hey, I want to reach out. So they literally reached out and said, hey, I'm interested in learning more about your services from your medical practice, or for my medical medical practice. I'm currently at 7 figures a year, but I want to scale to 8 figures immediately. Now, what you're going to notice through this conversation is you kind of have to be, you have to think on your toes sometimes, and you have to maneuver the conversation and still get those 4 things that I talked about, but do it in a way where like it feels conversational. So for example here, I'm not going to ask them, so tell me what type of business you have. Like, it doesn't make sense because they just told me the business that they have. You know what I mean? So you just have to have context, and just with the AI stuff specifically, it's cool because it has context around that. Like it doesn't, like it wouldn't send that first message because it already has the context of the message. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. So all I said was, hey man, tell me about the practice. What specifically do you do? So, well, I literally just said I didn't ask about the business, but here I want to know specifically what type of practice, right? Because we do help some people in like medical spas and things like that, but we can't help like a doctor's office. You know what I mean? So what I was saying here is, what specifically do you do, right? So I'm trying to make sure that they are qualified. So it says, so I do TRT, HRT, which we help. It's kind of like a med spa. And I go down, I say, okay, easy. So you can see here, what's the main bottleneck? So I'm asking, what's your pain point? What's holding you back? Well, the main bottleneck is time and business execution. I'm trying to hit the gas on the growth for sure. So I say, so what I'm trying to really get here, because I know that we really help with prospecting, sales, lead generation, conversion. So I'm going to say, so you're doing pretty well with lead gen, right? Like that's what you're doing well with. And he goes in and says, well, no, not at all. So the main reason I asked that too is he said the main bottleneck is time and business execution. So time and business execution, it's very vague. So I just kind of lead with like, hey, so like, are these the actual issues that you're struggling with, or are you doing really well with these? And it says not at all, but I had to basically turn off all my advertising and lead gen until I get my processes in place. So I say, got it. And then I give a little bit of credibility. So I say, dude, we've helped a few people like you. So it might just make the most sense to get you connected with one of my guys to chat through exactly how we can help. So we go in to actually book the call. So what you'll notice, you'll be like, Aaron, kind of like I mentioned a second ago, Aaron, what about current situation and desired situation? Well, if you remember at the beginning, contextually, they says, well, we're already at 7 figures a year and we want to scale to 8 figures. So it would just be a very redundant question if I just asked them, okay, like, where are you currently? It would just be like, well, did you even like listen to the conversation? Did you look at the conversation? Right. So I would say, are you open to that? He says, I am open to it. Now, would it be with one of your guys or you would be dealing with? Totally fine doing some of the initial legwork with one of your people. And then essentially I went down the line and talked about, it's going to be with, someone from our team, but they are, really qualified and stuff like that. That's only really relevant if you have a sales team. You just wouldn't want to degrade the person they're going to talk to. You're just going to say, hey, these people that I'm working with, they're also advisors and they're going to help you on best. So literally that's that little link down below. I just sent them a time to book a call on the calendar. So that's the first one. That's if someone reaches out to you directly. As you can see, very straightforward conversation because, they're already reaching out to you. You don't have to do a bunch of legwork of handling objections or anything like that. Second conversation here is, so basically you can see here is I reach out to the person. So I say, hey, thanks for the follow. Are you here for the content or are you actively looking to grow your business? This is an automation, by the way. He says, hey, I'm interested in sales. And then I have to clarify, right? Are you interested in getting better at sales or, what specifically do you mean? Because, we used to have an offer where we would we would teach people how to start in sales and get better at sales. So that's what I'm trying to figure out is like, are you trying to get better at sales or like what specifically you're doing? So then he comes in and says, I mean, externalize my sales. So that's what we do, right? We help people place setters and closers. So here I say, got it. And what I talked about earlier, right, with the Instagram is you have direct access to their profiles. So instead of just saying like, hey, so like, what do you do, right? And if I go to their profile and it says, I help blah, blah, blah. It's like, what I want to do is I just say, hey, I'm assuming you do some sort of fitness, health, or coaching because I could look at their profile, right? What type of offers does it look like in terms of your current, what your current clients get and price points? So really, I'm just asking specifically, how much do you charge and what are you doing for your clients? So he says, we sell franchise, so it's a big ticket, global investment, $250K. But the amount they pay to us is $50K. I have some leads, but my sales team is not enough hungry. Can we schedule a call? So, I mean, this guy's literally just being like, yo, can I schedule a call so that we can chat about it? Now, what I say is no. So here's the thing. You don't want to just jump on a call with everyone. You want to just make sure that you can actually help them. So I say, yes, of course we can chat, but just so I have a bit more context, what is the goal you're looking to hit, right? So I'm saying, what is your desired situation? And then where are you in terms of that goal, right? So I put both questions in there contextually because he is trying to move forward very quickly. I just kind of put both questions out there. And as you can see, they say, you know, I would like to sign 4 to 10 franchises. So if you speak in terms of revenue, it's 200, 500K. Right now I've signed 50K. So then I say, love it. Based on all that, again, on to the point. Based on all that, I think what it makes the most sense is to get connected with my right-hand guy. They can walk you through how we can help you at the very least. He says, okay, great. And I say, what time zone are you in? And then we go through, we do everything. He says down at the bottom, okay, let's do it. 3 p.m., let's get it locked in. So again, very straightforward to the point, but this just goes to show that like, if you just put in the legwork and reach out to someone, then like, if I would have never reached out, I'm not saying that this person never would have reached out, but I took the first step. I was very proactive with it. And then he went in and booked a call because I did that initial outreach, right? So just very, very important. Last one here is actually from a comment, right? So this specific comment is one where it was a little bit more direct. So I said, hey, saw your comment on my post wanting to help growing your business. Can you give me a little bit of a rundown of what you do? So I'll let you guys pause this and actually go through, because I think it'll just be kind of redundant if I go through and like read it all. But basically, this specific conversation, the other two, I believe, was a mixture of AI and human. This one was 100% AI. And this is actually, it's funny enough, this is the person that I closed for $24,000. So basically, they gave a lot of breakdown of exactly what they need help with. So it says, got it. What is the biggest roadblock you're facing right now in scaling your mastermind or group coaching programs? The cool part about the AI, it actually does spelling mistakes, like I think 20% of the time. So right there, you can say literally, it knowingly misspelled coaching and then resent it with a little, with a little asterisk to say like, oh, sorry, I messed up. But what we're trying to find here is bottleneck, right? Because we figured out the business already based on what they said. So now we're trying to figure bottleneck. So they say leads and automatic signups primarily. All my current clients are referral based. So I said, so AI says, makes sense. Referrals are great, but can be unpredictable. Just curious, what's your target monthly goal for the next 6 months? So again, asking for, what is the goal? So figured out roadblock. What is the goal? They give an idea of what their ultimate goal is. And then the AI comes back and says, ambitious goals. Where are you now in terms of monthly revenue? Just so that we know where the starting point is. And they say, okay, so here's where I am in current revenue. And then AI comes back, that's a solid base, given your goals. I think we might be able to help. I refined that because that's not definitive language. So I just went back and reprompted it a little bit. But because you don't want to say I might be able to help. You'd say, I definitely think we can help. Are you open to chatting with my right-hand guy to explore how we can actually support your growth? He says, yes, indeed. And then we say, again, there goes the spelling mistake. It says, great. I'll send you a link to booking the call. When you do, can you just confirm that we have our system in place? And then we actually send them the link to go in and book. So a little bit of a combination of the AI versus, human, and then also just being able to go in there and book the calls. So you can see like, is ever, like, obviously I picked specific conversations that did convert. Is everyone going to convert? No, but the purpose of this is just to show you that consistency wins, and doing this over a long period of time or even a short period of time, depending on the leads that you're having through, is going to help out just a massive amount with you. So with all that being said, if this was helpful, leave a like, all that kind of stuff. Also, this is great, but now you might be like, okay, Aaron, I'm setting these appointments. How do I actually close these appointments? So if you click the video on screen, I'm going to give you our entire step-by-step closing process and sales scripts as well that you can just copy and paste as well, similar to this video, but for the closing process. So you can click the video on screen so you can check that out, or you'd actually click the link down in the description. And if you just want us to install this appointment setting bot, install this entire system for you and hold your hand through the process, we can do that as well. If you click the first link down in the description, book a call with our team. See you guys in the next one. Talk soon. Peace.